Welcome back to the World Arts Foundation 23rd Annual. Keep living the dream, and we continue to live the dream through others who are currently making the dream happen. And this is one gentleman here who just recently I saw at a conference this past weekend, and I was impressed by what I heard and wanted to get to know you up close and personal. And one of the ways to know that is at these type of community events where folks can get to know each other. And I know you know a little bit about Martin Luther King, or maybe you know a lot about Martin Luther King, but you know about dreaming and you know that dreams can come true. So, Steve Novak, we want to welcome you. You're running for a U.S. Senate.
That's
and,
right.
Share with us a little bit about Martin Luther King's inspiration and why you have decided to run.
Well, if you've been listening to the presidential candidates the past few weeks, you hear people talking about how Barack Obama is the candidate of hope, and Hillary Clinton's the candidate of hard work, and John Edwards is the candidate of anger. And Martin Luther King understood that you need all of those. I mean, there are evil forces in the world and they need to be opposed. And you do need to motivate your anger, but you also need to provide the vision, to provide the dream. And he certainly understood that. But he's also willing to do the hard work, to go down there, roll up your sleeves, craft some compromises, get some legislation passed. And you need all of those things. And you also, another thing, from what I've read about King, that I think is important is, I think that he did everything he did because he had to. It wasn't that he set out a 10-year plan. It was things happened and opportunities presented themselves to do the right thing, and he did the right thing is what he had to do. And I think that that's what makes great leaders, is that they see what has to be done and they have no choice but to go ahead and do it.
With the celebration, we talk about a lot of diversity in that, but when it comes down to it, back then there was a lot of issues on race relations and other things, and those are still continuance, we're evolving, but how can we make that dream a reality for all of our children, not just African Americans or any specific population, but all children around like our education system?
Well, we need to, first of all, we need to rebuild an economy that works for everybody. I mean, one thing about the 1950s and 60s was that although we were fighting for civil rights, we were fighting for women's rights, but we had in the background an economy where you didn't have CEOs making 400 times what the average worker made. They seemed to get along just fine with 30 or 40 times. And you also had a tax system where the wealthy paid a lot. They paid their fair share. And I think that in some ways we need to get back to those basic principles. If we're going to fund an education system adequately, we need to stop this mindless anti-tax, anti-government rhetoric and say, listen, we need good schools for all kids. We got to pay for them. And we also need to say, look, if people are making 400 times what the average worker makes, that's not fair. We need to change our labor policies, our trade policies to facilitate a more economically just society. And of course, Dr. King, died in the service of economic rights, workers' rights.
Well, I thank you for taking time out, Steve, to come by and celebrate with us. We wish you well on your own candidacy, and we know that part of living the dream is that everyone has an opportunity, and I know you're representing those opportunities for others.
I'm trying.
Thank you very
so
much.
much.